Let's get some more context now. My guest is Joesph Loomis. He's the CEO of CyberSponse, a top cybersecurity expert. He specializes well in data breach response. Good to have you on the program, Joe. I want to get your initial take. I know that you're just hearing about this as well. You've been reading about it, no doubt. Anonymous going after our government over this controversial surveillance bill. What are your first impressions in terms of what you're hearing?
My first impression is that this is really a little bit of negligence in the fact that there was a warning ahead, and this is the power of threat intelligence, right? In my view, there was a lot of warning signs ready to come, right? And there's technologies out there that can prevent these types of attacks from happening, you know, when it comes to denial of services type of approach. And so in my view, it's kind of getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar, making that really difficult for, it's difficult to respond to these type of attacks when they're underway. It's more about preparation. In my view, most organizations, including governments, there's a lack of preparation that's happening. There were warning signs. It's almost like, you have tornado warnings for a reason, and the reason to get into the cellar. Well, the same regard in this way, right? There were preparations made, but at the same time, there weren't thorough preparations made for the longevity. And that's really, I've got to say, a little bit of difficulty of lessons learned here, and it's difficult to see organizations have to learn the hard way.
Some of these sites here, I mean, there was the main portal, Canada.ca, Justice Department at one point was affected. Canada Spy Agency, CSIS, managed to get back up pretty quickly. But when you talk about the ease with which this sort of thing is done, how hard or not, Joe, is it to launch this kind of denial of service attack?
It's very easy. It's equivalent to having a million people sign onto your website or parse your domain server relatively quickly. So it's imagine if you were having a Black Friday sale, a specific item, and it was flying off the shelves. It's very easy to conduct these, but there also are very tools out there that can solve these type of problems, that can divert this type of traffic into different types of remediation strategies. And so in my view, it's like, imagine if you didn't have a sprinkler system to a fire being, when you knew the fire was coming. And that's where I have the biggest issue, is there's simple solutions for these type of problems.
Yeah, it seems strange that something like our federal government, well-resourced, would be so vulnerable to this sort of thing.
Absolutely. We're seeing that all over. Between the U.S. government breach, now we've got the Canadian government having DDoS issues. These type of issues should be learned by the mistakes of others rather than our own mistakes. And that's where, I've been working and talking with Robert Herjavec over there in Canada, and, his firm has been really adamant on promoting this pre-response, getting your thinking about how do we be more prepared. With a government, you're going to do things that are going to upset some folks. You can't make everyone happy, but you also be better prepared for these types of responses. And I have to say that we have to get into the business of preparation and planning rather than reaction.
Joesph Loomis, the CEO of CyberSponse, coming to us from Scottsdale, Arizona. Really appreciate you making time for us in Canada, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
We're going to keep our eye on that story, of course.